So you have kind of met everyone on this panel except Di, so I might quickly pass to Di and she can introduce herself.
I'm Di and I work here at AUT, so I've been here for just over 1 year, and my background is agency, and I know a few faces in this room. So I've been using Marketo for about 3.5 years, and somehow I've made it up here with the Brains Trust, so see how that goes.
Cool, awesome. If everyone kind of sit and ponder and think about your questions, I have two actually that I want to kick the panel off with. Firstly, having heard that there's a couple of people in the room who are fairly fresh to Marketo, I thought maybe, Paul, you could give us a little bit of an explanation of what you mean when you talk about nested smart lists and why that's a thing people might not want to do too much.
Sure. One of the great things about Marketo as a platform is it's like a whiteboard. It's very extensible, it's very flexible. You can do one thing in 62 different ways. One of the problems with Marketo as a platform is it's very extensible. It's kind of like a whiteboard. You can do one thing any number of 62 different ways. Smart lists are a way to define a subset of the database. So if you think about Marketo as 3 silos. One silo is the marketing motions that the instance does. So those are the marketing activities. The next is the kind of design area where you've got templates, files, things that creative people need in order to put together shiny, pretty things that other silo can use to send out. The third silo is a database of humans. So it's records representing the individuals that you want to do marketing to. A smart list is basically, it's a query. And you define a set beginning with, it's in the database, and then you build a tree of cascading filter criteria. And it's best to build your filter criteria in a largest to smallest structure. To say, all right, I've got 1 million records sitting here in this pool. I want to know all of them in New Zealand that have been on my website in the last 90 days that have an open opportunity in Salesforce. So there's your defined subset. In that cascading set of tiles, you could say, I want everybody with these characteristics and that are on this other smart list over here. And there we go, layer 1. And then you have another set of criteria that could be anyone who has a Z in their name and at one point was sent email number 3. And then also is on this smart list. And so you get people who build these cascades of smart list logic. And Marketo as a fundamental data set is not a database tool. So it doesn't have ways to optimize the relationships between these linked queries. And so it runs them all anytime you go to take a motion. So if you take that smart list and you want to say, now I want to send an email to these people, it's going to go and look at all of the various levels in that cascade. And if you're sitting in front of a data set of 3.5, 4.5, 55 million records, that is going to slow the instance down. Long answer, sorry.
No, but a very good answer. Hopefully gives a little bit of colour to the context of what we were talking about when we said how many? 17 layers. Yeah. One of the other questions I wanted to kind of put to the panel as well was, so I put it down on my notes because I knew I would forget it like I just have. But one of the things Paul talked about was engineering for simple. And I know in my own instance, as recently as in the last couple of months, there are things that I have implemented where I've been like, this is a great idea. This is the most efficient and effective way to do this thing. And then you roll it out to your users and they're like, what? And then they just don't adopt it. So I thought I would kind of ask open question to everyone on the panel, what are some experiences that you have had around implementing things that you thought would be great that didn't get accepted by your users, and what were your learnings from doing that? And then who wants to take the mic and start?
I've got a very brief one that I can mentioned, just going back to tokens, we were sort of umming and ahhing over whether we put the copyright here as a token in the uppermost folder, or whether we put it into a module within the email, or whether we actually built it into the template. And we sort of, it was done one way and then we changed another, and then we actually decided to go with the token, and then for a myriad of reasons we decided not to. Getting rid of that token is impossible. It will not go away. We have deleted it from everything, so now it just sits there as a little reminder to me that it didn't work out. But for the life of me, if anyone's got any great ideas on how to get rid of it, we have literally removed it from everything. It will not go away. It haunts me. That's sort of it. We're still in the process of rolling out a lot of stuff, and also because there's only 2 users, we generally accept what we've put in place. So yeah, I'm sure that we've plenty of opportunities for things like that to perhaps not be as useful as what we initially thought, but that token was one of them. Don't get me wrong, tokens are amazing. They're fantastic. We use them in a lot of things, and we use them across our event templates, which have been fantastic, because we just literally clone, roll out, get it done. But yeah, that copyright one, it's back in my
I
mind.
have 2.
Go on.
Okay. So we'll talk first about user permissions. And so to me, part of engineering for simple is some of the plumbing and electrical as well. It's being recorded, right?
Yeah, but we can totally say delete everything that Paul says from this
Okay,
section
okay.
and then don't upload it.
Marker. Again, on the engineering for simple side, I have an accidental happy story that could have been really not good. The old instance that I told you guys about earlier, called B2, had a program template for a series of webinars where you could set up webinars, invitation, alert, all of the package around a webinar program, and have it set for webinars up to 9 months in the future. So as I said, we migrated from that instance in September, but no one really thought to go in and see if there were any scheduled future programs still sitting in that instance. And somewhere around the first week of October, go into work one morning and start getting emails from people saying, hey, I didn't get the confirmation email for the webinar I just signed up for. And I reached out to my colleague on the marketing operations side and said, hey, can you look into what's going on here? Alex took a look and said, well, we have nothing scheduled. Nothing coming up. And like, these emails are starting to come in rapid succession saying I didn't get my confirmation. Find out the old Marketo instance had sent a webinar invite to 250,000 people for a webinar that no one had planned to actually hold. So we quickly stood up a thank you page with the link to the webinar, sent out the confirmation emails to people who had registered for it, and we had an accidental webinar that 1,100 people attended. I mean, it turned out well, but I mean, sometimes the best laid plans, I'm going to give a marketer a program shell that does something up to 9 months into the future. Sounds good? Keep it simple. Okay, that's fine.
Awesome. I have an example which probably the people here that know me will laugh about. I'm on this like never-ending quest to develop the ultimate email template. Which, yeah, laugh, because you know me. And so for context, the instance that I operate has multiple different brands across multiple different types of products across multiple different regions. And I was like, I bet I can create an email template that will work for every brand, for every product, for every user across every workspace with tokens. Great idea. I'll just heavily tokenize this email template and it'll look really weird in the email editor, but as soon as you hit preview, it'll look perfect for that brand. And it actually did work, except the users hated it because the users didn't, most of my users spend maybe 20-30% of their time on average in Marketo. They're not heavily invested in learning the details of the platform around things like tokenization. They're not very confident with HTML. And this perfect email template that I'd spent a long time developing, I basically had to roll back because it didn't really work for my users. But What I was able to do was take the concept and roll it one step further back. So we still have a tokenized template, but the tokenization doesn't actually happen in Marketo. I'm sure there was probably a better way to do it, but basically I have a master template with a bunch of tokens that I then have a spreadsheet and some Python script that basically goes, recreate this template, replace all of these variables with these values from the spreadsheet, and then save it with the brand appended to it. And then anytime we need to roll out a change, because iOS 35 comes out and all of my emails are displayed at 50% width on iPhone, that's what happened last time they changed something, all I have to do is change it in one file, upload all of those variations to the system, and they all flow through. So I was able to find a solution that actually met the needs that I had, which was not having 12 different email templates that I had to make changes to and maintain, but still give all of my users the friendly experience inside the editor where their font displays, their colors display, their logo displays, and it doesn't freak them out completely. But that was a 4-5 journey, so there's ways around things for sure, different ways of doing things. Do you know?
I guess for me, I don't have any particular stories or instances because there have been far too many of them to actually count. I guess
some of the customers might be in the room. No, but I guess one of the things that I can do is offer a piece of advice, and I think it's actually something that Paul had actually offered at his talk over at Summit, which was whenever you're building something, try and make sure that you've got a plan in place to unbuild it. Yeah. Because for a lot of these things, you can spend a significant amount of time building something that's really complicated, that takes you weeks and weeks of work, only to find that it's not being picked up by your user base. It's not being picked up by the rest of the people, excuse me, in your marketing team. So make sure you have a plan in place to actually rewind and unbuild that. The last thing you want is to have something that's almost operational critical that you have to kind of all of a sudden spend the next 3 weeks trying to unbuild and fix. Now I know we're supposed to be doing Q&A, but I have something off of that. But I think we should. Any questions? Anyone want to raise a paw? No.
I think everyone's hanging with bait. Oh no, Margot's got one.
I know this morning, but a lot of this is totally random, but a lot of our reports have been completely wiped, and it's just like randomly reporting to our stakeholders. For example, campaign activity report is reporting lead scoring. Has anybody had that happen to them recently?
No. That's weird.
Yeah. So it's like unchecked, whatever we're trying to report on, and it's just giving them just randomly choosing.
I can't say I've ever encountered that happening, and the only thing I can suggest is go and email support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can just put it down to one of Marketo's little
Quirks.
idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
Makes it a bit more palatable. Just what he found too.
Do you want to tell your little tidbit?
Yeah, so one of the things that two points. First, you can get fields deleted. Just it is possible. If you have more than 10, professional services will need to get engaged and they'll charge you money. But if you've got 40, open a support case with 10 of them. Wait a couple of weeks, put another 10 in. They can be deleted. There'll be pushback and you'll be told, well, just hide them. But I know for some people who might be particular, so they can be deleted. Second thing, in the Engineering for Simple story, I hate having too many fields. Going into a Marketo instance and seeing hundreds of fields that are never used because when the original sync with Salesforce was done, someone decided, when you get a chance to start a connection new, engineer to the absolute smallest data set you can possibly imagine to start. Because as you know, you can always pile more fields in later. It's almost impossible to go backwards.
And don't do what I did on my first instance, and when you're doing the kickoff call where you're like, and this is how you will do it, hit the button.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No.
But
Immediately cancel.
obviously, you're going to encounter requirements where people they want a field. They're desperate for a field. They want to know T-shirt size. They want to know meal preference. They want to know something. And what we actually, I've done this for a number of customers before I joined Marketo, but in the instance that we just launched, we have 40 string, 40 text, 40 Boolean, 40 date custom fields that are Marketo only. And they're literally custom string field 1 through 40, custom date field 1 through 40. And we have a Google Doc. And marketers can sign out these custom fields for a period of time. And then I have a smart campaign that goes in at the time that they're done with the field, cleans out all the data. The marketers understand they'll never know what T-shirt size Grace had 4 years ago at Summit, because that data is gone, but they had it the moment that they needed it. So that's a little keep it simple suggestion.
That is a very good idea. Any questions from the audience?
Paul, what's the best marketing team structure that you see run a Marketo instance for a business?
That's kind of a how big is a house question. I mean, it kind of depends on how big the instance is, how complex the need is. I can tell you our team, so in rough metrics, as I said, Marketo sits on about 4 million records, leads, contacts. It's a one-to-one sync, so there are no records that are Marketo only. They're either leads or contacts in Salesforce. There are 27 marketing users in the instance. Varying roles. There's really two primary roles. There's marketing user and power user. Marketing users can't actually turn anything on. They can design everything. It needs to go to a power user in their business unit to actually turn the program on and let it run. So 27 users. We are by far a very active Marketo customer of Marketo. So, on average, we outpace other customers with a similar database size 9-to-1 in terms of the actual amount of activities going on in the instance. So those 27 marketers are very busy people, but we're also Marketo, so we're doing a lot of noisy things. So on my technology and innovation team, we were 3. On the marketing operations half, so we split that universe in 2. There's the technology and innovation, so all of the plumbing and electrical. And then there's the day-to-day operations. The day-to-day operations team was 5. So that's a rough scale. Then you could look at AWS as a customer. They have 1,100 Marketo users. Kind of a different story. Microsoft, their model is an entirely different paradigm. They have so they've branded their Marketo instance as the Global Demand Center, the GDC. And marketers don't use it. Marketers request the Global Demand Center to do things. So the Microsoft instance, I think there's 45-ish users total supporting all of Microsoft. But they have a whole API layer around it too, where a marketing user can fill out a form and hit a button, and on the inside, program shells picked up, cloned, set up, and so the GDC just needs to go in, look at it, review, and approve. So they're varying degrees. I'm not trying to dodge your question, but really kind of depends on the requirements of the customer. I did dodge your question.
Anyone else? Don't be shy.
I think that's the bar is open. Was that what that?
We did have one more from Holly.
Yeah. So you talked earlier about that Salesforce instance, which has custom objects attached to custom objects to manage the amount of fields. How do you manage which fields can be seen in Marketo? Because there's a limit to what Marketo can see, but it might be a couple custom objects down that the information you actually end up needing in Marketo.
Right. Good question. Remember, the instance that I was describing was actually Adobe's instance, so we're writing a custom connector around that for various reasons around this. But in a standard implementation integration between Marketo and Salesforce, you can get 2 steps away through the custom object view. And to take best advantage and communicate out any of the information that's in those custom objects 2 steps away, you really need to take advantage of scripting tokens to do anything with that data. You can do some rudimentary triggering off of that, but in terms of consuming and communicating the data that exists at those layers, you need someone that knows Apache velocity scripting.
Any final questions? Last call.
Is there any expectation that we'll be able to start using velocity scripting outside of emails?
Can you give me a little bit more context around how you would want to do that? Because I'm doing that, but I don't want to say how I'm doing it unless I understand what you're doing.
I kind of want to hear how you're doing it.
All right. So
Marco?
the bar's open. No, this could go long. But I'll try to be simple. There are various technologies that let you exit Marketo and hack away and come back in. The best one is authored by Sandy Whiteman. So if you're active on community and you ever say anything that's a little incorrect, Sanford Whiteman will probably say something to you. So Sandy's a great guy. I've used him a couple of times with customers, and actually we used him in the, I forgot to tell you what the new Marketo instance is called, Arketo. So when you look at the slides and you see references to Arketo, so in Arketo, I used Sandy and his tool called Flow Boost. And what Flow Boost lets us do, okay, who has encountered intent data in the market? Yeah. Anyone using Bombora or any of these intent data providers?
Well, not third-party intent data, but I misunderstood your question.
Okay, all right. So we implemented this product called Bombora. And what Bombora does is it sits out there in the universe looking at about 8,000 websites, like CMO.com, main businessy websites. And it monitors for a set of topics that are relevant to you as a customer of Bombora. So for us, we defined 50 topics like email marketing, lead management, our competitors. And then what Bombora will do is they monitor these 8,000 websites for any activities related to the topics that you're monitoring, and they have IP location data about the visitors who are looking for those topics. So they can say that, hey, Marketo, Amazon Web Services is looking for information about email marketing. They don't know who at Amazon Web Services is doing this, but they know that this company is active on these topics. Bombora would then, on a weekly basis, dump records into a custom object, and custom objects in Marketo are almost not usable. I mean, they just sort of sit there, the data is not retrievable. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to say, all right, so for everybody at Amazon Web Services, I want to take a look in the custom object, and I want to concatenate, see, this is what I mean, I turned right, and I went way up. We wanted to take the latest records from that custom object, concatenate all the values, and update one field on the lead record to say, okay, there's 8 new things here, but I want to just put it in one field. I then sync that field to Salesforce. I send an alert to the BDR picks up the phone, says, hey, I understand, you might be looking for email marketing. So that motion of going into the custom object and concatenating, you need to go outside of Marketo. So Flow Boost and scripting tokens combined together to hack and get around.
Does that only work for like
It'll work for both.
and so I noticed that some of the stuff around what markets are currently identified as like the average standard website. Is there any like
Yeah, the whole universe of our web awareness is going to open wide with the integration of the Adobe whole web analytics tool we're able to see. So.
I talked to school about this like a week ago, and they said soon, hopefully.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, we might leave the Q&As there.